Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with another Inside the Scope edition. And today, Inside the Scope, I will have Lupe Fiasco. Now, anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge fan of Lupe Fiasco ever since my freshman year in college back in 2006 when he dropped that kick push. It influenced the skateboard culture. It also influenced me to skateboard as well before I tore up my ankle. Um, but it was a very good, exciting time. It had people uh, listening to backpack music, and they didn't even know what it was, but they was listening to it because it was a catchy song and very well composed. Um, Now Lupe, when that Kick Push came out, most people thought it was gonna be a one hit wonder, just something real catchy for people to catch on to, and then he'll move out the way. But it turned out he was one of the best lyricists in the hip hop history. Very intellectual, very thoughtful, very thought provoking. Uh, and when I say intellectual, literally mean that because he teaches hip hop at John Hopkins, MIT, and Yale, all of these Ivy League type schools. He's teaching hip hop at, and is making an influence in the culture, spreading hip hop to, to the backpackers and to the nerds. Now he was big on the mixtape scene before his solo debut arrived. I remember hearing Fahrenheit mixtapes and just hearing the bars that he would put together and thinking, like, how does he think of these things? Because at this time, I didn't hear lyrics like this before. It was just common rap, making words rhyme. Things weren't slick and intelligent as he put things. So on Fahrenheit, I remember he said, until I'm 6 feet under, like three dudes in a Flintstone car. Now, that's a crazy, insane bar, something out of the picture. He has a lot of Flintstone bars, but just his analogies on things is crazy, makes you look at things another way. And that's just what hip hop is supposed to do. Not everyone's supposed to do it, but, you know, there are supposed to be aspects of high level thinkers and thinking outside the box and crazy analogies and things like that. Um, but getting back to the debut album, Lupe Fiasco's Food and Liquor, a very strong debut, great lyricism, and it also had a Jay-Z feature on there as well. The Lupe Fiasco's The Cool album, which was his follow-up to Food and Liquor, had a lot of more depth to it, and also had more cohesiveness than his debut album, of course. So he had one of those first two albums that's kind of like Nas's. You have to debate which one is better because Illmatic and It Was Written, most people debate which one was better. And not a lot of artists have that benefit. Most people hit what they call a sophomore more slump, but it seemed like Nas and Lupe Fiasco got better in that aspect, and they escaped that sophomore curse or sophomore jinx. And then, of course, the third album, Lasers, which I stopped listening to Lupe's music after Lasers because it became more political. But that Lasers albums had, the most commercial hits. It had The Show Goes On, Out of My Head with Trey Songz. And then one of my favorite songs he had was called I'm Beaming as well. Very clever writing on this song that was very strategic. Uh, remember me, the guy from verse one. Failure is my last name, never is my first one. That was very clever that he put together. One of the songs that you can work out at the gym too, and to do things like that. Very catchy song. I don't think it actually came out as a single. It was actually kind of like a bonus track, but nevertheless, it was good music. And another song that I liked on his album was All Black Everything. Now, this song he envisioned if history never happened, and he rewrote history as he thought it could have happened. So he said it stayed in Africa, so we ain't never leave. So there were no slaves in our history. So he was trying to say, if you know slavery never happened and everybody stayed the same, how would life look? Um, and he kind of elaborated on it a little bit more when he said, first 400 years we actually enjoyed it. Constitution written by W.E.B. Du Bois. So I think he was alluding to if slavery never happened, blacks in America would have been seen in a whole nother light, similar to the way the Africans are seen different than African Americans are seen different than regular Africans. So he was trying to say that if slavery never occurred, will we be looked at as, or we will be seen differently in the eyes of Americans, which was kind of powerful and made me think a lot about that stuff because I never thought about that scenario. But he always questioned the status quo, whether it was on American terrorists, when he addressed the mistreatment of Muslims post 9/11. He is Islamic, so he always tried to give that perspective. When he had, Jesus Walks, which was Kanye's songs, he flipped it to Muhammad Walks. Very powerful song. If you haven't heard it, check it out, especially during this Ramadan season. And he even questioned Obama's motives on words I never said, because I believe at the time he had a girlfriend that was from the Middle East, and then the whole thing was going on over there, and he kind of blamed the presidency at the time for that. So that is the time when he started to shift more towards just basic rapping to become more political. Like I said, I stopped listening mostly um, after that third album, which was uh, Lasers. But he always had a strong messaging in his music, and he never just rap to make words sound nice. He actually tried to put a point out there and try to get a message out to the people that, from his eyes at least, and his perspective. Now, I always appreciate artists that can do that because as an artist, you're supposed to paint a picture, and it's not always supposed to be club or dancing music or make you feel good music. Sometimes you have to preach to the people, give a message, and give a perspective so people can see different or feel differently about things and actually think about things the way they're treating people and the way the society is. So I always appreciated an artist that could do that. And then I think Lupe got that from Nas because he listened to Nas a lot. Nas wasn't one dimensional. He did rap about guns and he rapped about violence and things like that, but he also brought it back to the community and what we need to do for the community, helping others, being versatile, not just being one dimensional or one trick pony, but actually showing that you're a human and showing that you have different sides. Sometimes you want to party, sometimes you want to think about society and how can you help people. We're multifaceted. Like I said, we're not a monolith. So uh, always have to appreciate from the artist. So that was an inside scope with Lupe Fiasco, one of my favorite lyricists and one of my favorite hip hop artists of all time. If you haven't checked them out, please do check them out. And then until next time, I'll see you next time.